So, according to the book of Mark, and of course, everybody knows that the book of Mark was written by John and Matthew and Luke. This is the part, Mark 6. The book of Mark, book 6, chapter 6, something 6. And here we go. And the people saw them departing. Many knew him, ran afoot thither out of all cities. This is Jesus we're talking about. Jesus the Christ. Jesus H. Christ. Jesus Muhammad Christ. Jesus Muhammad Christ on a cracker on a stick on a cracker on a stick. Jesus Hoobastank Christ. Jesus Christopher Christ. Jesus T. Christ. Jesus P. Worrell. And the people saw them departing, and many knew him, and ran afoot thither. Thither? What are you doing? I'm going to run afoot thither out of all the cities. And out went them and came together unto him. Just on top of him like an upside down pyramid. And Jesus, being the rock and the foundation, the Alpha and the Omega, being the pepper jack and the Colby, being the hamster and the gerbil. And Jesus, when he came out, saw much people, much people, and was moved with compassion towards them. He almost shed a tear, because they were as sheep, not having a shepherd. These poor sheep, they don't even have a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. Well, 1 + 1 = 2 + 2 = 4 + 4 = And when the day was now for Pythagorean theorem is just leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. How the poor sheep, they had no shepherd. They were wandering and lost. But Jesus began to teach them many things because he believed in education. And either you're a sage on the stage, or you're a guide by the side, or you're a pile of shit. And when the day was now far spent, his disciples came unto him and said, This is a desert place, and now the time is far past. Send them away, that they may go into the country round about, and into the villages, and buy themselves bread, for they have nothing to eat. He answered and said unto them, Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, Shall we go and buy 200 pennyworth bread, and give them to eat? He saith unto them, How many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say, 5 and 2 fishes. 5 and 2 fishes. 5 pieces of bread. 5 loaves of bread? Okay, 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. But ye got into the bread, ate 2 whole loaves. Now there's only 3 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. But with God, anything is possible. With God, anything is possible. And he commanded them to make all sit down by companies upon the green grass. And they sat down in ranks by hundreds and by 50s. And when he had taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, he looked up to heaven, and he blessed and brake the loaves, and gave them to his disciples to set before them. And the 2 fishes, the 2 goldfishes, divided he among from fishes. 2 goldfishes from fishes. Salad bar, breakfast bar. Gold Star, Skyline, Cincinnati, divided he among them all, and they did all eat and were filled, and they took up 12 baskets. Wait a second. They ate among themselves, and they were filled. Okay. That's not how I thought he multiplied. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments and of the fishes. And they took the goldfishes, the crackers, and they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. And they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. And straightway he constrained his disciples to get into the ship. Wait a second. Food stamps? No, that isn't what Jesus... No, that's not what the Republican Christians... The Republican Christians, they say to To hell with you starving assholes. Go get a goddamn job, you lazy piles of shit. And they took up 12 baskets full of the fragments and of the fishes. And they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. And straightway he constrained his disciples to get into the ship and to go to the other side before unto Bethsaida. Bethsaida? While he sent away the people. Bethsaida! And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. And when even was come, evening, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone on the land. And he saw them toiling and rowing, for the wind was contrary unto them and about the fourth weight. Okay, and that's it. There you go. There you go. They ate the fucking fishes, and then the bread, apparently they multiplied it into 5,000. And they're able to feed 5,000 with the loaves. Because they had those 12 baskets full of the fragments. And they said of fishes too. But it just says, and they that did eat of the loaves were about 5,000 men. And then they went to Bethsaida. And now it's time to get the hell to Bethsaida. How did he do that? He had 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread. No, 3 loaves of bread because Yida got into the... I did leave the door open, so maybe I should be more responsible myself. My dogs can make mistakes, but I also ask myself, is there something more I can do? And when he had sent them away, he departed into a mountain to pray. And when even was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone on the land. And he saw them toiling and rowing, for the wind was contrary unto them. And about the 4th watch of the night he cometh unto them walking upon the sea, and would have passed by them. But when they saw him walking upon the sea, what? Jesus is walking on water? Walking in the winter wonderland. They supposed it had been a spirit and cried out. For they all saw him and were troubled, and immediately he talked with them and saith unto them, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And he went up unto them into the ship, and the wind ceased, and they were sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered, for they considered not the miracle of the loaves, for their heart was hardened. And when they had passed over, they came into the land of Gennesaret, and drew to the shore. And when they were come out of the ship, straightway they knew him, and ran through that whole region round about, and began to carry about in beds those that were sick where they heard he was, and whithersoever he entered, into villages or cities or country, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment. And as many as touched him were made whole. Wait, what the hell just happened here at the end? The miracle of the loaves, their heart had hardened. Passed over the land of Gennesaret, drew to the shore, came the ship, straightway to him. Be of good cheer, it's I, be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid, be not afraid. To take a stand through the wind, through the storm. Go to war. He went up into the ship, the wind ceased, and sore amazed in themselves beyond measure, and wondered. And whithersoever he entered, that's what they said in Aramaic. Whithersoever. How does whithersoever translate into anything? Can whithersoever translate to anything? And whithersoever, who the fuck talks like that? And thither I went, whither and thither, whithersoever he entered, into villages or cities or country, we don't know. It's like a choose your own adventure. The villages, the cities, country, they laid the sick in the streets, and besought him that they might touch, if it were but the border of his garment, and as many as he touched him were made whole. So there, Jesus just went around healing the sick by his touch. Sounds like bullshit. Sounds like witch doctor shit to me. Sounds like a bunch of witch doctor bullshit to me. You're not a real doctor at all. Where'd you get that degree? Did you just print that up? I'm fucking goddamn Prager University. Hey, I graduated. I got a PhD in Prager's University. I got a PhD in Hustlers University. I got a PhD from Trump University. Chapter 7. Woo! This fucking Book of Mark it's getting more and more interesting. What is he what are we going to, what's the point? There's an author, there's an audience, there's a climax, then there's policy suggestions. What will be the policy suggestions of the Book of Mark? What is there, 16? It's the shortest book.